Good morning, students. Welcome to Sai CA Coaching Center, and this is CA MS Swaminathan with you. Students, in the past, I have actually been referring to an Excel sheet by title Annuity Formula Proof. And now, in today's session, what we are going to do is we are actually going to go through this particular Excel sheet to be able to understand the benefit of using the formula for FV annuity regular, PV annuity regular, and FV annuity due immediate or PV annuity due immediate over the long method, the detailed computations. So net, the objective of this Excel sheet is to help you students to understand the benefit of using the formula that you've learned starting with the GP finite series. Now, in this Excel sheet, you might be observing that there is a column I on the screen which is completely filled up with red color, which I am highlighting now. Now, the reason this column has been highlighted in red color is the fact that the sheet is divided into two halves horizontally. The left hand side, meaning to the left of the red column, indicates discussion that will be around annuity regular, and to the right hand side of the red column I, what we will be discussing will be completely dedicated only to annuity due or immediate. Now the approach is going to be that I will be explaining to you in great detail the annuity regular, which consists of FV annuity regular, future value, and the PV of annuity regular, which is present value. With that, you should automatically be able to understand the right hand side of which deals with annuity due or immediate. So kindly pay a lot of attention to what is now going to be explained in great detail. Now, as we move on, students, please remember that I have just picked up an example here where I am assuming that Mr. X, for example, has to pay me rupees 10,000, okay, for a period of 3 years. Since we are discussing about annuity, we know that annuity involves a constant amount to be paid across a constant interval, correct? So the constant amount is assumed to be rupees 10,000 as indicated in row 4, and the period is assumed to be 3 years, meaning Mr. X has to pay me rupees 10,000 each year at the end of the first year, second year and third year. And the rate of interest is also assumed to be 10% per annum. Though I have not written here on the Excel sheet, please understand that this example is calculated assuming that the compounding happens on an annual basis frequency, okay? Because you have to remember that in case the compounding frequency is going to be less than annual, then automatically we have to change the percentage and the number of compoundings as well, which has already been taught to you, okay? Now, if we look at row 7, I am starting off with future value of annuity regular. Compounding will be applied to calculate FV. Okay. Now this is highlighted in yellow color. Now first, what is the meaning of compounding and why do we resort to compounding when we are calculating future value? Students, please recollect that present value means the amount of worth of money today. Future value means the worth of the money tomorrow or in the future. So if one were to consider a 1 year time horizon, then for example, if I go to a bank and deposit 10,000 rupees today at the rate of 10% for 1 year, then at the end of 1 year, the bank will repay to me my 10,000 principal plus the interest of 1,000 rupees. So total maturity amount will be 11,000 rupees. In this example, present value is rupees 10,000 that I am giving the bank today. The future value will be rupees 11,000 which the bank gives me at the end of the first year. Okay, so if I need to calculate the 11,000 maturity amount, Using the principle of 10,000, I will have to use the compound interest formula, okay, which is maturity amount A is equal to P, which is principal multiplied by 1 plus I power n. So that's what is basically compounding involving multiplication. And that's exactly what I have highlighted in row number 9. I have written there compounding involves multiplication. Now, in this example, we need a start date and the installment dates. The start date is assumed to be 1st of April 2017, which is actually highlighted in row number 28, okay, highlighted in pink color, okay, and then we have the installment dates will be 3 in numbers, okay. In the case of the FE annuity regular, we are assuming that the maturity date of the first installment is highlighted in cell D15, okay, as 31st of March 2018, and the second installment is due on 31st of March 2019 in D16, and the third installment is due on 31st of March 2020, which is highlighted in D17. Okay, so I said to you, the start date is 1st of April 2017. Now, what is the meaning of future value of annuity regular? It means that instead of Mr. X paying me rupees 10,000, okay, highlighted in column E, row 15, 16, 17. I repeat, instead of Mr. X paying me rupees 10,000 on 31st of March 2018, he should pay me this amount on 31st of March 2020, which is the end of the third year, correct? Similarly, in the case of the second installment, he has to pay me the 10,000 not on 31st of March 2019, but on 31st of March 2020, meaning after 1 year. Okay, in the case of first installment, he has to pay me after 2 years. In the case of the second installment, he has to pay to me after 1 year. And in the case of the third installment in row 17, he is supposed to pay me 10,000 on 31st of March 2020, and he is also required to pay that amount to me on the same date of 31st March 2020. So there is no extra time granted to him, correct? Now, since in the case of the first installment in row 15, he is granted 2 more years to pay the amount to me, in column F, row 15, compounding is done for 2 years in the case of first installment. And in the case of the second installment in row 16, column F, since he is granted 1 additional year, the compounding factor is taken as 1 year in terms of years. And in the case of the third installment in cell F17, since he pays the third installment on the correct date only, there is no compounding involved at all. Now, what is the implication of this? The implication of this is seen in column G, row 15, 16 and 17. Now, taking up cell G15, since Mr. X is granted 2 extra years to repay the installment, the first installment, and compounding is to be done for 2 years, then the principal of 10,000 must be multiplied with some compounding factor based on compound interest formula. What will that compound interest factor be equal to? Conceptually, it will be 1 plus I power 2. And that is exactly what you will be able to see on your screen in G15 now. It is 1 plus 10% power 2. The upward arrow indicates to the power for those of you who do not know about this function in Excel. Now similarly in G16 we find that the compounding factor is 1 plus 10% to the power 1 because he is granted 1 more year. Similarly, in the case of G17, there is the 1 plus I basically is nothing because he is paying on the same date of 31st March 2020 with no additional time granted. So it will be number 1 only. Now, the maturity amounts will be very simple to calculate. In column H, row 15, 16 and 17, we find that it is nothing but column E into column G, which means the principal multiplied by the compounding factor. So H15 gives us 12,100, which is the compounded amount with respect to the first installment. H16 gives us rupees 11,000, which is the compounded amount with respect to the second installment, and H17 gives us virtually the same amount as the principal, as there is no compounding involved there because X pays the amount on the agreed date itself. Now if I sum up or total cell H15, 16 and 17, the total which I get is rupees 33,100, which is what is presented in cell H19 as the total, which is highlighted in yellow color. Now this is the long method of doing the calculation. Now students, just for a moment take a break and think about it. This example has been constructed wherein I said the assumption is compounding happens on an annual basis, and hence we find only 3 rows. Suppose the question had stated that the compounding has to be done on a quarterly basis, and in each year we know that there are 4 quarters, then we will see not just 3 rows but 12 rows here, which will be 3 years into 4 quarters in each year. That makes it 12 rows. Not only that, the percentage will no longer be 10% if it is compounded on quarterly basis. It will be 10% for the full year divided by 4 quarters in a year is equal to 2.5%. Okay, this has already been taught to you in one of the earlier sessions. So please bear that in mind. And in case the compounding is to be applied on a monthly basis, then you will have to see in this example 36 rows, because there are 12 months in each year spanning across 3 years will make it 36 rows, and the percentage will be 10% divided by 12 months in a year, whatever be the amount that you get. Now imagine how much of time will that take from a computation perspective across 36 rows if you need to do it on a monthly basis, correct? Therefore, to avoid that detailed computation is where we derive the benefit of the formula that you have already learned in the file in one of the earlier sessions under FV annuity regular formula, wherein I taught that to you based on the GP finite series, correct? So the formula is highlighted in row 21, highlighted in yellow color, as FV annuity regular formula is equal to capital A, which denotes annuity, multiplied by 1 plus I to the power n minus 1 divided by I, and we get the amount straight away in cell H21 as 31,100 highlighted in yellow color. Okay, direct substitution of the formula. See how quickly we are able to obtain the answer. That's the benefit of using the formula, and hence I just wanted to explain that particular concept to you virtually through an Excel sheet. Now, in fact, there is no effort that is required on the part of the student to remember this formula, as you already know the GP series, a finite series formula in terms of summation. Now moving on from here to the present value of annuity regular, starting from row 23 highlighted in pink color. Okay. Now what is present value? I have already explained to you earlier in today's session that it means the worth of money today. And in the case of present value, if you start with future value, we are moving backwards. Hence we need to discount and not compound. Wherever discounting is involved, it involves division and not multiplication, which is what is highlighted in row 25. You can see it on the screen. Discounting involves division, correct? Now, what is the meaning in this example? Instead of Mr. X now requiring to pay the money on 31st of March 2018, okay, the first installment, the second installment on 31st of March 2019, and the third installment on 31st of March 2020. Now Mr. X is asked to pay all the three installments on the starting date itself, which I earlier said is assumed to be 1st of April 2017, highlighted in row 28, correct? So now I am asking Mr. X to pay the money to me in advance. In other words, do I benefit or Mr. X benefits? Obviously, I benefit because I'm getting the money in advance, correct? Hence, I will have to pass on this benefit to Mr. X, and therefore, I don't ask him to pay me the entire 30,000 today. On the other hand, conceptually, I have to ask him to pay me some amount of money as a single payment, which will certainly be lesser than the total of the three installments, which will be 30,000, correct? So logically we understand that the single payment must certainly be lower than the 30,000. And if that has to be the case, then we need to divide, correct? With a number which should be less than 1 for each of the installments. Okay, now coming to the fact that in row 31 I have highlighted in column F, cell F31, discounting is done in the case of the first installment for 1 year. Now why is it so? Look at the payment date, the receipt date of the first installment. Mr. X was supposed to pay me the first installment on 31st of March 2018 as highlighted in cell D31. Now I am asking him to pay it to me on the 1st of April 2017, which means 1 year in advance, highlighted in F31. Therefore, I should give him the benefit for 1 year, which means that as indicated in G31, the discounting factor, always expressed in decimal as less than 1, okay, will be nothing but 1 divided by 1 plus I power n. N denotes the number of years for which we allow discounting. Okay, so in our example it becomes 1 divided by 10% to the power 1. Okay, the power n applies only to the denominator. So the number value derived is 0.9090 recurring as seen on your screen. Okay, then with respect to row 32, this deals with the second installment which Mr. X was supposed to pay to me on 31st of March 2019, which now he is required to pay on the 1st of April 2017 itself. Therefore, he is asked to pay the money 2 years in advance. Hence, the discounting should be allowed for 2 years, which is what is displayed in cell F32 as 2 years. And the discounting factor accordingly for it is highlighted in G32 as 1 divided by 1 plus I power 2, which is 1 divided by 1 plus 10% to the power 2. Okay. Similarly, with respect to row 33, we observe that the payment date of the last installment was due on 31st of March 2020, highlighted in D33. But now Mr. X is asked to pay this amount on the 1st of April 2017, which is 3 years earlier, highlighted in F33. Therefore, the discounting will have to be allowed for 3 years. Hence, the discounting factor highlighted in G33 will be 1 divided by 1 plus I power 3, which will be 1 divided by 1 plus 10% to the power 3. And whatever is the result that is presented in cell G33. Now, the amounts that he will have to pay to me totally today itself, instead of paying me 3 different installments over 3 years, will be nothing but the total of the amounts highlighted in cell H31 plus H32 plus H33, which adds up to 24,868.52, highlighted in yellow color in row 35. Okay. Now, This is the detailed computation of the long route. Imagine again if this had been for 36 months, then you will have to do this calculation across 36 times. Is it not a smarter way to handle the same using the formula? Yes, indeed. And what's the formula? Right on row 37, we are able to see highlighted in pink color, PV annuity regular formula is equal to FV annuity regular divided by 1 plus I power n, which is what you have already been taught. Therefore, if I now go across to cell H37, I observe that I am able to get the amount of 24,868.52 as follows. It is equal to, if I double click on the cell, H21, which is nothing but FV annuity regular, which was found out to be 33,100 earlier, divided by 1 plus 10% power 3. Straight away I get the answer as 24,868.52. Now, I hope this concept relating to PV and FV annuity regular is crystal clear to you. Now, students, moving on to the right hand side of the red column, which is going to deal with annuity due and immediate. I said earlier to you in today's session that based on whatever is explained to you regarding FV annuity regular and PV annuity regular, you yourself will automatically be able to understand what is happening on the right hand side of the red column, starting with column J. Okay, all that I want to do is probably try and help you again in terms of explaining what is the meaning of annuity due or immediate. Now in our example, I said initially Mr. X is required to pay the amounts on 31st of March 2018, 31st March 2019, 31st March 2020, highlighted in cell D 15, 16 and 17. Okay, displayed on your screen. Now the dates will have to change because payments are not supposed to be made at the end of the year but at the start of the year, since we are now dealing with annuity due or immediate. Since the contract started on 1st of April 2017, now the very first installment of 10,000 must be due on the 1st of April 2017, which is what you see in cell M15. I repeat, column M, row 15. We notice that it is 1st of April 2017 as the receipt date. The second installment is due on the 1st of April 2018, highlighted in cell M16, and the third installment is due on 1st of April 2019, highlighted in cell M17. Now instead of Mr. X paying me 10,000 on 1st of April 2017, 1st of April 2018 and 1st of April 2019, if I ask him to pay the entire amount, a single amount, on 31st of March 2020, okay, why am I taking 31st March 2020? Because this is FV annuity due. Okay, so the last date of the contract is 31st of March 2020, highlighted in row 12, column P and Q. Okay, so with respect to the first installment, he is granted 3 more years. With respect to the second installment, he is granted 2 more years. And with respect to the last installment, he is granted 1 year. Okay, highlighted in column O, row 15, 16, 17. And then what happens is all probably self-explanatory to you based on whatever you have learned with respect to annuity regular. And the amount is found out. Amount of FV annuity due using the long route is found out as 36,410 in cell column Q, row 19, and in column Q, row 21, highlighted in blue color. Straight away using the formula of FV annuity due or immediate, we get the answer as FV annuity regular multiplied by 1 plus I is equal to 36,410. And then across to PV of annuity due or immediate, highlighted in green color in row 23, And you will notice that in column Q, row 35, the final amount is found out as 27,355.37, okay, highlighted in green color using the long rule. Whereas applying the shortcut method, we get the answer basically as 27,355.37 in column Q, row 37, highlighted in green color. And the formula was PV annuity due or immediate is equal to FV annuity regular divided by 1 plus I whole power n multiplied by 1 plus I. Okay, so everywhere you notice that whether you are calculating PV of annuity regular or FV of annuity due or immediate or PV of annuity due or immediate, the starting point goes back to FV annuity regular, which is why I was telling you quite a few times that you just need to remember the GP finite series summation formula, and then you can easily arrive at this answer. And with respect to PV annuity due or immediate, I have also taught you that there is an alternate method of calculating the amount, which is also explained to you across row 41 to 44 to arrive at the same 355.37. Okay, now what we observe is that we have clearly understood the logic here. Now at the end of the session, I guess each of you will hopefully certainly believe that this is not at all difficult. This annuity concept seems to be only frightening students unnecessarily beyond reasonable extent. In fact, after the session, I strongly believe that each of you will love to pick up annuity related questions in your examination and score the entire marks with regard to this, which will help boost your performance in mathematics. Okay, now with this, I would like to end this session. Wishing you best of luck. Okay, take care. Cheers. Bye.